Hey, hello, and welcome everybody. This is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and this is a special presentation that I am sharing with you that I'm also doing for my private members in the TOC Money Mindset Mastery. Now, if we haven't had a chance to meet yet, I'm Catherine Perry. I'm known as the Big Vision Coach, and what I do is I help people connect into that greater vision so that they have that roadmap to their success. And I help them get the tools that they need and the resources in order to rise up and become the person that they always knew that they could be. And the way I do that is through my coaching class and through my business practice, the seminar. And I have a method that I work with that's called the One Command, and it was written and created by Asara Lovejoy, who's my teacher and mentor for many years. And now I am the owner and president of Commanding Well Seminars, where we run all of our programs. You can get some more information about me on here on Facebook, but also at catherineperry.net, and just check me out. Hey, I want to just say hi in the comments right quick. I see we have a couple of people come on. If you haven't had a chance to say hello in the comments, or be sure and like the StreamYard app, do that first so that I can see your comments or questions that you may have. And it says can't post comments to some destinations, so I might not be able to see your question. If I see it in the comments afterwards, I will be sure and respond to you. So, oh, hey, Deborah. Hello, beautiful. A friend of the One Command, a longtime friend of for me and the One Command. So just love seeing you here. Thank you so much. So what's up today? Well, first I want to say thanks to everybody who's been hanging in with me. I've stepped back on some things in the business this spring because I was dealing with some health issues. But if you want to tune into a lot of my teachings and what I'm about, be sure and tune into that at TOC Money Mindset Mastery group, because in that group, I have all the videos, and there have been incredible teachings that have been coming through. And when we teach these methods, we always introduce this greater idea, what's between where we are now and this greater idea. Like you may think about right now, hey, you have a dream, you have a vision, maybe there's a level of income you want to rise at, maybe there's a business, maybe you're dreaming about retirement, maybe it's a whole new life experience that you're wanting to create for yourself. And so you have a desire, you might have a little bit of a picture, but you may notice that you're not quite taking those actions. Well, what we do in this circle every week is we find out, hey, what's going on? What's working for you? How can we support you? Let's celebrate your wins, or how can we be encouragement? And so many beautiful things happen there. So if you haven't had a chance to tune in to these weekly group meetings, please be sure and do it. It's not like any other group meeting you ever seen, because it's super interactive, very specific questions. The teachings are about real life. How are we applying the laws of, vibration, like the secret, and we learn all of this stuff about manifestation and expanding our awareness and making our mind bigger. And then it's like, yeah, but how do we deal with day-to-day life? And that's what we teach there. And so what I wanted to talk about today is something that has been coming up a lot. I've been particularly interested for all the years that I've been doing in this and it's been part of my personal growth, like my particular challenge that I've had to overcome in my growth in fulfilling my dream. And it's how do relationships affect our business? What are our beliefs about relationships and our place in the world? And that starts, going into some really deeper work, like what is our inner positioning? How do we see ourselves? Do we see ourselves as a master creator, or do we see ourselves as small and weak and at the effect of something big and greater? And we got to somehow try to overcome it or sneak our way around it. What is that inner positioning? So we look at that, and then we look at, hey, what are the things that are taking away your power? What thoughts, images, ideas, what memories? are taking away from your power from addressing challenges, but also stepping up and asking for what you want. I mean, yesterday I worked with two different people, and one was very interesting. One has, she has a business. There's a lot of things that she needs to do. She's dealing with a lot of different personalities, but there's a particular contractor of hers that she's really having a lot of trouble with. And she gets with this particular contractor, everything in her shuts down and she can't be in her authority and she feels very weak, and she couldn't figure out why that was happening. The other person that I was dealing with has a successful business, and she created a business on her own terms, and she's helped a lot of people. But what happened was she got invited to do a proposal on a project, and it's one that she really cares about. But the person that was requesting the project is kind of old school authoritarian type of person. And she was noticing that she was feeling resistant and pulling away from that, and was just kind of worried about it and didn't have good feelings, and just was noticing all this going on. And when I asked her to tune into it, one, she had a definite belief about what that woman's belief structure was. Like, isn't that interesting? We believe about people's beliefs. And she had beliefs about her belief structure, but she didn't really see what and she knew the good reasons she believed that, and it was really positive, empowering stuff. But she also wasn't understanding how that belief system was not supporting her. And so there was an internal conflict, but the way that she recognized that there was an internal conflict was, hey, here's an opportunity, and I'm hesitant about moving forward. I wonder how many opportunities we are saying no to because we don't have something resolved within us. We've got some big question. Now, sometimes we just have a belief that doesn't quite line up. We had an experience when we were small and powerless and at the effect of others, or we had something happen in our business life and it supported those beliefs. And this is how we grow. This is how we learn. We're always trying to figure out ourselves, right? But what happens is we have a dream. And then what happens is when we first start trying to visualize it and picture it, we get that vision. And you have to pardon me, suddenly there's something in here flying at me. I'm not. But now I'm crying myself up. But we will have some resistance, but we don't know why. And very often we think, well, maybe there's something there's a good reason. Our mind will try to puzzle it out, right? And then we kind of start telling our stories about it, and then we go, yeah, I want that, but I don't want it like that. And next thing you know, we're having kind of this imaginary argument around it, and we're talking to everybody about it, but we don't really understand what's up about it. And what's up is that there's something unresolved within you. It could be a past hurt, there could be a past failure, there could be some secret about from your life that you don't want quite revealed. There could be a secret shame, right? And so if we're spending all of our energy not processing is blocked, we're not addressing what's here, we're not able to be present and aware and meet our opportunity that we commanded for, prayed for, asked for, worked really hard to get. We don't understand what we're resisting. But we're going to uncover some of those today. But we're not going to do it in a deep psychological way. We're going to do it in a very simple but powerful way that when something comes up, you're going to be able to ask yourself some new questions. How's that sound? Okay. So there are three things that you need to really be aware of when it is that you're wanting to create something. And what we're addressing is, number one, what is your major core desire? Okay. If there's something that you want to create, attract, manifest, what purpose does that serve? Now, this is a big challenge because very often we start getting hung up. So let's say you want to start a foundation, you want to start a business, you want to move to another country, what is the number one thing that comes up the minute you start thinking about this? Like, well, how are you going to make a living? Where's the money going to come from? How are you going to do all of that? Right? And next thing you know, you're in this mental swirl rather than tuning into that desire and allowing that desire to communicate with you, and then connecting, creating from your desire. But what your mind starts doing is problem solving. Okay. It starts trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist yet with a mind that's based on decisions made in the past. So, how could you possibly create something greater and start to visualize something new? Right? So, we start going around in circles. And I remember, and if you've been a student of mine for a while, you've heard me tell a story that my favorite game used to be called When I Win the Lottery. And I would try to visualize the day I realized I got the winning ticket, how that would feel. That's what they say to do, right? Like, oh yes, I got it. I got the ticket. And then I'd go, well, what would I do? Well, with this size of winning, I need to go to Austin. Now, there were times when I was visualizing that, I would think, how am I going to get to Austin, which is 3 hours away? And I didn't have gas in my car. And you know what I addressed? Suddenly what came up is like, should I tell my family about it? Because I'm going to have to borrow gas money to go. So next thing you know, I'm worried about gas and who do I tell and what can I tell? And then if I made it past that visualization and I could see myself getting down to Austin, then I'm like, well, do I give my real name? Am I supposed to be in disguise? Do I wear big glasses? Should I get rid of my phone number? What do I need to do, right? So then I'm worried again, and I'm problem solving in advance. Then, hey, maybe I managed to get my head around, okay, I don't know how this is going to happen. I'm going to be able to figure it out. Now, never mind that I haven't bought a lottery ticket yet, okay? Never mind that, the most I've ever won in playing lottery is I think I won $12 once. I'm just not a big gambler. I don't spend my money that way. It just doesn't bring me any enjoyment. And but I still like to play that game. And then I would be like, well, let's take everybody shopping. Oh, maybe we get a limo driver and we'll all go to the Galleria in Dallas and we'll just go on a big shopping spree and we'll have a wonderful dinner and we'll go do all of this and this. And then next thing you know, I'm micromanaging, trying to figure out how we're going to manage all the shopping bags. I mean, I'm a multimillionaire and I'm like, oh no, how do I handle the shopping bags? Would we call the driver and have him come up and get them, or what? How do rich people do that, right? And then I'd start, focusing on, well, where would I live? I really don't want to stay in Texas. Would I stay in the U.S.? Would I travel? Do I get a house? Do I buy a house? Do I rent a condo? I don't know. What are the pros and cons? What do I know about managing separate houses? And my mind would just go to this. Now, did any of that sound like fantasy and fun and let's just play, let's dream and dream big and let's get into that big vision? Not at all. Not at all. Why? Because our beautiful brain is designed to solve problems, and it's solving problems based on what we have already trained it to, based on our experiences and what we've trained it to believe is possible. It's only, and actually, your brain actually has no judgment. It just goes, is this what we're doing? Is this what the belief is? Yes, no, on, off. It's basically a binary system, okay? On, off, yes, no. And so we're trying to visualize and dream from a smaller mind, from an ordinary state of being. And so when we're in ordinary consciousness, we're actually not aware of so many things. Our beautiful reticular activating system literally deletes and makes things invisible to us that are not relevant and are not a match to what we believe are true. It keeps us accessing information. And then if we don't have the neurology and the feeling state of knowing how it feels that we can trust ourselves and we're going to flow and that we can just go have fun and that we will know that we'll make good decisions with our money and that we have confidence in our ability to handle big money, which was my challenge, which was really what was behind all of that. If we don't have the neurology to match those states of being, those feeling states, then it's going to just be like we can't feel it. It doesn't exist at all. A way to think about this is like if we think about how being on drugs works. Like the reason that we can get high on drugs is because we already have a neural pathway that we have our brain chemistry called endorphins, and the endorphins created neuroreceptors and transmitters so that those drugs can be absorbed and activated, and we would get that effect in our system, right? Well, if we take drugs, those drugs would run along the same neural channels. If we did not have the ability to create endorphins, and people who have ADHD have the inability to create dopamine, it's really interesting, then if we took drugs, it would have no effect on us. So it's the same thing because we don't have the neurology to receive and understand that experience and that feeling. Even if we had big money come in, we wouldn't know how to trust ourselves if we've never had the experience of being able to trust ourselves or know who to trust. That's a big problem. So we're going to talk about in a little bit, how do we address that? How do we expand our consciousness? How do we get into a bigger state of being? So what I wanted to do today is to address some of the common reasons that a lot of people are not allowing themselves to prosper, why they're not going after the career or the business that they want. They're not going after, their retirement. They aren't going after the love they want. They're sabotaging their health. They're holding back. Suddenly they're getting depressed, or suddenly very concerned with a lot of minutia, like I was when I'm trying to imagine winning the lottery. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out, how do I manage all the shopping bags that we're going to have? Like, that's an awesome problem, right? But that's not what I really needed to focus on. What did I need to focus on? Well, if I want to win a lottery ticket, am I willing to commit my thoughts to visualizing this, to preparing myself, to learning what I need to do in order to when and should I win, right? When and if I win, to prepare myself to be financially savvy, to be able to make good decisions. I may need some information. I would need to prepare myself for living a rich life. I might even start thinking about, hey, what do I want to get rid of now so that I can be ready and flexible? Before I moved to Seattle many years ago, before I met Sarah Lovejoy, about 6 months before my life changed drastically, I had a really big kind of like intuition that said, life is about to change. There's a big move coming. And I remember telling my daughter, and I said, this is happening. I don't know how soon, but it's this year. Let's go ahead and start clearing the house out for everything that we don't need. And we just started paring the house down. And then I adjusted my bills so that more money could go to debt, so that whenever anything changed, I wasn't carrying debt with me. And it became really easy to do things like cut off my cable. Now it would be a little different because our internet is such a part of our life. But back then it was like, I'll just cut off the cable, and what is not necessary in my life, so I can prepare for this greater thing to arrive. And the day the change happened, it didn't arrive as like a big, bunch of money. The big change was my brother-in-law crashed my car and totaled it while I was on vacation. And the day I got back from my vacation, I got fired from my job. And my boss said, what are you doing? And I had already knew that a big change was coming, and I had just seen what I really wanted. And 2 days before, I had told my daughter, I said, if we ever move, we're moving to Seattle. This is the place, because we had a chance to visit it. That place just spoke to us. And when my boss fired me, there was something inside of me that was so ready and prepared that even though it would have looked like a horrible thing that happened, he said, what are you going to do? I said, well, it looks like I'm moving to Seattle. And it wasn't like, oh, no, I wanted to move to Seattle. I wish I could have, but life happened and it got out of the way. all the preparation I had been doing in advance and my acceptance of this change in advance made this like the sign I was seeking. And it was like, now you don't have the job. What are you going to do? Well, I guess now I'm free to go do it. How are you going to do it? Well, I don't know. My car is totaled, and I had literally borrowed money against my paycheck to go up on that trip to go, because it was about to go to Washington to get my daughter. So I had no money. I was actually like, I think I might have had less than $50 in my checking account that day. Yeah. And no more was coming. So what am I going to do? And it was just a decision, but it was the next natural decision. So this is what's important. I'm really not telling you a story about me moving to Seattle. I'm not telling you about my secret hopes and wishes of winning the lottery and my fucked up way of thinking about things. What I'm telling you about is this. When you think about what you want, and there's a part of you that says, yes, I want that. Please know this, that you're getting the message, your intuition, just like when I got that kind of hit that, yeah, there's a big change coming very soon, to get ready for it. There's something outside of you that's already in your environment that's saying, I'm coming. And when you get that match inside of, yes, this is my desire, and you make that decision to say, yes, I'm going to do that. Yes, I want that. Then everything starts lining up. And where a lot of people get into their challenge is that they are looking for everything, for all the things that have to go right. Okay? When I was playing my lottery game, what I was noticing was I couldn't just imagine winning a ticket and having an awesome day with my family and living a new life. Why? Because my old way of thinking. And so if there was anything in my thinking that was limiting or was a block or started like, I would get tense and nervous, like I hear I'm supposed to be fantasizing about this awesome thing, I would start getting worried. And how I addressed it was, wow, this is a limiting belief that I need to look at. It's not like what my old way of thinking, and my default method is, who do I think I am? Because I come from working class poor folk, good people, hard working, who, sang country songs like silver threads and golden needles will not take this heart of mine, right? I grew up in that. And so I was already different that I had those kind of dreams. I was already different that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was already different that I just had different desires and the way I wanted to express and what was fun and interesting to me. That besides work and hanging out at the lake, that type of thing. So I already was different and I could accept that. But what I didn't know was happening as I was naturally moving through this visualization many, many times. And that's what you have to do. You have to keep repeating in your mind. It's almost like you're visiting parallel universes. I realized, here's a block. This is something I have to overcome. Here's an idea. And what is that saying about me? And the question that I would ask is, well, what if I was able to do that? What if it were easy? And so the question that you're going to start asking when you start meeting these blocks is, well, what if I could do it? What if I had the capability? What if? And that's what we're going to play with, that idea today. And then we will do a 6 steps to the 1 command. So does this make sense? I'm going to check back on the comments and see if anybody's got any questions or comments at this point. I see we've got a few people on. Hi, and thanks for joining. I'm going to take a little sip of water. Okay, so we're going to go very quickly through the 10 beliefs or fears that are stopping people from creating the money or the life that they want. And number 1 is straight up the fear of the unknown. That has to be the number 1 fear. is the unknown. Like, well, what if I get that money and then, I'll work with people like, hey, would you like to do this? And someone will say, well, I want to win the lottery ticket, but I don't know what to do next. So I don't think I should buy a ticket. You don't know, right? So now we can investigate, but I will hear people default to what they don't know instead of, hey, here's something, I want to do this. What's the missing piece? Here's what I could guess the steps are. And then if there's something I don't know, then I can make a note of that and research that. But let's not make that something that stops you. And there's going to be a lot of things that you don't know. And there's, in fact, things that you can only know until you go through it, even with the most preparation. And if you've lived longer than 20 minutes and never tried more than one thing in your life, you're going to know that this is true. There's the way it's planned, there's the way it worked out, and then there's what you learned from it, and there's what you do the next time. But it's all a learning. So we have to just go ahead and assume that there are things that you don't know. But what do you know? What if there was something that you could know that would make it easier to face the unknown? What would that be? Would it be, hey, well, whatever it is, I know I can count on myself to figure it out. How about that? Whatever happens, I'm going to be okay, which is what confidence is. Confidence isn't, I think everything's going to work out perfectly or that everyone's going to like me, but that you're going to be okay. But you could count on yourself. So what do you need to know about yourself? What if you knew that whatever you faced, you had the ability to face it? What if you knew? So just let yourself kind of go into that idea, okay? The second thing that stops people, that kind of cracks me up, but I've fallen to this too, is this fear of increase in taxes. And this could also be, the IRS, I'll get audited. There's also, what kind of falls under this is, we could say increase in taxes or a loss of benefits, particularly if we have people who are on disability or are on some type of aid or support, and they don't know how to make that bridge. Like, I need that safety blanket. I don't want to lose that in case all this money comes in, which is, in the fearful mind, that makes sense. But think about this. I had a lady that I think she was scraping by on $1,200 or $1,300 a month disability, and she was offered a job that was going to pay about $2,500 to $3,000 a month, and there were going to be some commissions and things. And she was like, no, if I get that job, I'll lose my disability. Well, what other benefit does that disability give you? Right? But she was so hung up and fearful about losing that. And that kept her hung up for a long time. And so what if you did make so much money, it did increase your taxes? And what would it be like? What if you paid $1 million in taxes? How much money would that be? How much money would you have to generate in order to pay $1 million in taxes? I think it's probably more than what you're making now. So there's a little fearfulness, and that kind of goes back with that fear of that unknown or not trusting yourself. Okay, but people start trying to figure this out, and they get fearful, and then here comes the suspicions and the beliefs about Big Brother and the government, and then they are getting into that paranoia. And so this becomes the reasons, like, I don't want to make a bunch of money because I don't want to deal with a bunch of taxes, and then there's the write-offs, and there's accountants and CPAs. Rich people actually don't complain about any of that stuff at all. I've had the pleasure of being around a lot of very wealthy people, and I've never heard a single one complain about the people they hire that help them keep their money and help them keep track of it and to keep them in good stead with the government. Never heard a single complaint on that. Okay. So the next thing that stops people is, we could say, fear of attack. So if I get too big, if I get too famous, if I get too successful, maybe people will sue me. Like, this is a big fear in winning the lottery, that you've got to put all your money in a trust so that somebody maybe that loaned you $100 20 years ago isn't trying to come back on you and collect $100,000 in interest, right? Or somehow in your reputation or your family, you're going to be more visible and so more vulnerable. But what if it's just as true? What if it's just as true that your increase in your money, your increase in your income came as a result of you raising your vibration? And you had more resources to, one, prevent these potential attacks, but two, the capability to deal with any attack to your reputation, to your business, to your finances, that you had more resources. But what if you wouldn't even have to worry about that because you're operating at such a high vibrational level that you're impervious to that? You could actually program that in. I've worked a lot of dangerous places in my coming up my former career as apartment manager, and I'm talking a lot of scary places that I had to go walk around, and a lot of times at night alone with my set of car keys to protect me. But I raised my vibration, my position, my authority, and everyone that I met, even scary looking gang members, I met them as people of authority in their world. Right? I was like, hello, and what's their big thing? Respect. Hello, how are you this evening? Great, we're doing good. And, just like I would meet the CEO of a company or a pastor or somebody I had a lot of respect for, I would meet every person as a person of respect. And I had to meet all kinds of people, all levels in life. And in meeting them, I never had to be afraid. In fact, there was usually a little extra protection, a little extra watching out for me because I met them heart to heart as an equal. Okay, so if you are meeting the world that way, the world will not come against you. It comes against the arrogant. It comes against the bullies. It comes against the liars and the ones who are hurting people in secret. So as long as you are keeping your intention pure, keeping your actions on the up and up, and you're operating authentically, it won't even matter. I can even bring this down to personal attacks. And I was at a seminar and people were kind of starting to come up nicely to me. Now, I'm a large lady, and the Lord blessed me with a large back end before it was popular, right? And even when I was slender, people always kind of commented on the caboose. And so someone said, so just as a woman in America, you just kind of get used to comments. But someone said, you're a spiritual teacher, and people have been asking about, if you're a spiritual teacher, why are you overweight? And I remember I kind of stopped for a minute because I thought I should be maybe offended, but I really wasn't offended. I said, if they're those kind of people, they're going to criticize my body and they won't do business with me or want to listen to me or receive from me because they don't like the shape of my body. They don't approve of that. Those aren't my people anyway. I can't even imagine that would be a care or concern of mine at all. I can't even get into their head. That my people are loving and accepting people and are interested in how I make them feel and what I'm bringing to them. So I don't know who these other people you're talking to, but they're not my people. Okay? And I just always held that position. I don't care. I don't care what people think. Do I want to have a good reputation? Yeah. But am I going to bend myself in pretzels and try to, be acceptable to everyone? Hell no, screw that. Oh, wait, is that spiritual? That's the way I feel. All right, that's the way I feel. So one of the big fears is that we may lose our friends. Our friends may judge us. You could think about in The Devil Wears Prada, and there's Anne Hathaway's character, and first they love getting all the perks, right? And then they're like, you never have time for us, but give us the goodies, right? You're always so busy. You're always choosing work over us. And she was growing. It really wasn't because of the business, but there was some jealousy. And yeah, they missed her company. But at the same time, did they really care about her? Did they really say, how can we support you? No, what did they do? They made her wrong and were trying to get her to do what a lot of well meaning friends, and even I would say family, friends do, is to try to get you back to their comfort zone rather than go, this is someone who's growing and striving. And that brings up some feelings for me. Do I want to? Am I feeling judged or whatever? So it could feel like there could be a sense that our friends may not accept it, or we'd have to leave the people we care about behind. We may outgrow them. But the truth is that we are always growing. And along the way, there's going to be friends that come into our lives and we don't know how long, and there'll be friends that we have to let go. But the time that we're with them, let's be good to each other, right? And so this is a big fear, and we'll hold ourselves back very often so that we don't risk their disapproval or risk them thinking that we are not good people because we want something more than what the level of wealth or success the circle's at. Okay. Same thing's true with your family. I've had to overcome this one recently. Your family, there's different things. There's the people that you care for, the people you're in relationship with, and then there's the family kind of behind you, your family system. So when you're growing, you're always addressing those at different levels. And there have to be some things that have to happen in your interpersonal relationship. And your ambition could make your spouse uncomfortable. It could mean that some of your time and energy that might be part of your traditional role, ladies, but men too, you wouldn't be able to perform the job that's traditionally in the relationship, like chores. We're talking chores, right? And so a lot of times we have these chores assigned to our identity rather than, hey, this is part of life and I took this over and it's more important to me, so I'll do it. And if it's more important to you, you'll do it. Or let's work out something because we're living together as two adults, right? But we've got to really look at what our family system is telling us about what we want, need, or desire, what's best for us. Now, I mentioned I just dealt with this with my family. I have a wonderful family. Every person in my family, I have to say, believes in me. They tell other people about me. They are so loving. But my family does not get me. And in fact, there have been times when my business was reconfiguring or things were happening and they go, why don't you just go get a job? And I'm going, that's not really an option for me. I could, but I kind of have made myself unemployable. And I would be so miserable in a regular job now. I mean, a lot of people coming out of the pandemic, that's just not an option to go back to that awful office, right? But at the same time, what I was noticing, because I was going back and forth helping my daughter, I was living with my daughter, I was in the house, and it's a household with kids and dogs and very chaotic. And I need quiet. I need time and space to think. I have my own creative rhythm. And then when I'm not in that rhythm, in that space, I get sick. I feel frustrated. I need that. I need to just like eat when I'm ready to eat and not have to drop everything because now it's 5:30 and when I'm on a roll working, right? And that was starting to create some conflicts. But the other thing is I noticed being with my family, my world started getting smaller and smaller. And I started getting sicker and sicker. I'm going, what is going on here? I mean, I was really starting to have a lot of days, like some little noise would just trigger me off, and I was having like major anxiety episodes. And I'm just laying in the bedroom with, a cool cloth on my eyes under the covers, right? Just to get myself calmed down. Medication wasn't doing it. And it was because I was out of alignment. I wasn't in the right place. But somehow my daughter was being more and more engaging, loving. She was protecting me, right? And then it was like I felt a lot of guilt over, here I want to leave. She loves me so much, and I help around the house. I'm cooking, cleaning, I'm doing the stuff with the kids. And all that started occupying my mind rather than the things that I wanted to do. And I was, I didn't want to be disappointed. I didn't want her to think I didn't want to love her or help her, which I still do a lot of help. When we get done, I'm going to go hang out with my teenage granddaughter, and we're going to have a great time. And so I really had to do some belief work and go, I have to move out of here. And, and I've got to do it because I still believe in my dream, not because I'm rejecting her, but this just isn't the right place. And initially, like, the 6-year-old was not happy, and there was a little like, okay, if you don't want to be here, whatever, right? But now it's so much more balanced. Is when I go over there, I'm happy. They're all happy to see me. We're having a great time, and I have the time and space I need. My daughter adjusted, and my health went from here to here. So like, zoom. So there was already a big change, and I had to go through a lot of guilt. Now, I want to say this one thing about guilt. Guilt is a booby prize. It's a booby prize. We go, I'm not doing the thing I really want to do, and so to punish myself for not doing what I really want to do and what I know in my heart I ought to be doing, I'm going to go ahead and endure this guilt. I'm going to punish myself with this feeling rather than take ownership and go after what I want. Okay, when I noticed I was having that guilt, that gave me the clue that I was not in the right internal position. Okay. Number 6, we'll take a quick sip. But hey, we know about this one. More money, more problems. We touched on this a little bit with the accountants and paying taxes and that type of thing. But there is more to pay attention to. And depending on how you set your life up, you could be creating more complexities in your life. And if you're imagining the life of a rich person of having many houses and traveling around and doing all this stuff, and then you're actually naturally a homebody who likes simple things, that's going to create a conflict. Or it just could be, suddenly everybody's going to be hitting on me for money and charities, and I'm supposed to be doing good work, and it's just going to bring up more problems that I want to deal with. What if, with the more money, there are more solutions available to you? What if there are more solutions available to you? Because, hey, right now we're dealing with a lot of problems and challenges, and we're doing it very creatively for a lot of people, and they don't have money as that fast option. So they have to come up with other solutions. So more money could mean more solutions. Okay. So this is kind of a phenomenon, but if you are growing up like I did in a poor working class, there was always that snotty person, that one that always thought they were better than you, right? They're going to put you down, or they're judging you, right? Or right now we have this thing called Karens and Chads, and they are kind of like some kind of societal police, and they make problems, and we're going to have to confront all these troublemaking people and jerks, and we're just going to have to start dealing with people at this whole other level. And what if it's just as true that, just like when people were asking me, well, why don't you lose weight, that these people will have less of an effect on you? Who do you think you are? And growing up poor working class, I remember a lot of times, because my dad always had these side hustles before side hustles was a thing. And we might have worked a fair that weekend. We ran concession stands and did all kinds of stuff. But there's no telling what work we did that weekend. And it would be late in the day. We might be on the road. We'd be hot and dirty and tired. And my dad would feel like having a steak for dinner. And he would take us to a really nice looking steakhouse where everybody's all dressed for dinner. Back in the day when people did that in the 70s, you didn't go out to dinner looking like that. And I remember we would just be so embarrassed. Dad, please, please, let's not come here. We're all dirty. We're in shorts. We're dressed like this. He says, what do you care? Our money is good. And it did not occur to him that he did not have the right to be someplace. I have to thank my dad for that. Okay? There's always going to be some part of us, or there's going to be somebody telling us that we're not good enough. It will not matter unless you let it. Okay? So, what if the more money you have, the more power you have, and they start listening to you and they want to try to figure out how to get in your good graces? What if that's true? Okay? Another fear that stops a lot of people is they're afraid that you'll change. They're afraid that they won't be the same person. We talked about change at the very beginning, like here's the new, the unknown. But we had this idea of some core essence of us that we could lose. Particularly people I know that are artists, creatives, intuitives, like I'm a healer type. And I remember being worried about switching over from one-on-one coaching to teaching a class to group coaching. And I said, it's so powerful in these beautiful one-on-one sessions. I'm afraid that I'm going to lose something. It's just be about the teaching, and I'll lose like the best part of me, right? My gift will be lost. And what wound up happening was my gift expanded, and I was able to not just get a tune in and read one person's energy and hear how their emotional body was responding. I wasn't able to tune into that. I wasn't able, I was able to listen to words or watch those visual cues, all the ways that all of me was greeting all of them. My capacity started to just exponentially, pardon my accent, grow. Like first time I was in a group of 10 people, I was tracking 10 people. People always talked about how there's this flow and something happens when I'm in the room, and I could always track who's behind or who's struggling or who's got a message. And I was tracking not only the individuals, but the group consciousness. And I found the more people I worked with, my gifts, skills, and talents actually blossomed. And this whole new level of operating in consciousness and this whole new ability to communicate with people and be present to them and affect a powerful change, that started happening faster in a more powerful, memorable way. And so you need to accept that, yes, you're going to change, but what's going to change is you're going to change for the better. And the things that don't serve you, that no longer work, or ideas, attitudes, even some skills could fall away. So an example would be, hey, back in the day when my first job out of high school was waiting tables, and we didn't have calculators, if you could imagine. And I'll never forget the day they brought the Big 10 key out, like chakun, chakun, chakun. Turn the thing, that's how old I am. But chakun, 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 we had to do that. And I used to be able to add up long columns of numbers very quickly, like bzz, and I remember as I was totaling the numbers, it would go bzz. Now I have to write down every number. Now I can barely remember a phone number because I don't need it, right? It's in my phone. But if I wanted to go back and recapture that skill, there's nothing stopping me. I just don't need it, okay? So please, what if change is inevitable, and it is the change that you've been praying and commanding for? Because there's a version of you in the future that is calling you, and you will rise up to that. You will become a new person, and that new version of you already exists. Yeah. And it has all the answers and all the support. And as you start trusting, going back to trusting yourself, and that, hey, whatever change happens, you're going to be able to handle it, and that there's something greater that's going to happen as a result. The fear around changing because of money, that we're going to suddenly become greedy or mean. We're going to switch political parties. become like evil, Lex Luthor types or Jeff Bezos of the world now. But we don't know, right? But what if we are finally going to have the opportunity to become who we always knew we could be? Okay, and that's the opportunity that's there. I'm going to tune back to comments. Oh, I'm getting some hearts over here. Thank you. One of the other fears is the demands of the new level. And this is very common because you are going to have to step up as the authority, as the one who's in charge. You have a new level of responsibility. It's very different than, hey, when you're going check to check and oops, you overspent and now you've got to cut back or figure out how to work some extra hours someplace. And that's a smaller blip. There's going to be some more demand, some accountability. There's going to be some things that you need to pay attention to. And this is not just talking about in having money, but as you're rising up and becoming that person that you're destined to become, that your heart says you can be, that everything in your life's been directing you to until this moment, that it's going to mean that you're going to have to make some new commitments to yourself. You're going to have to operate a new level of consciousness. You're going to have to operate a new level of self-discipline. You're going to have to be able to have a new level of commitment. There are going to be some new levels, and that means you're going to have to be more awake and on purpose with things. You don't get to default and make excuses. There's going to be too much at stake. And so people fear that. They're afraid that they could somehow fail that, or they just want to have an easier, simpler life. Well, what if things will be simpler as you start to learn, grow, and adjust to operating in these new levels? What if that's true? Okay. And then finally, the number one, I could actually say one of the biggest thing for a lot of people, particularly the people in our sphere who are really committed to their personal growth and being a force for good on the planet. And maybe you're a healer, an artist, or a thought leader, or a coach yourself, that this could affect your spiritual walk. That you could get so consumed with your business or your money or the new relationships, or you're having so much hedonistic, delightful fun that somehow your spiritual walk could suffer. And what if it's just as true? What if money's an amplifier for who you already are, and it will amplify that which is most important to you? What if that's true? So I want to get your questions and comments. Does any of this ring a bell for you? Put down which number. If you're watching this by replay, you could hit hashtag replay. But which one of these really kind of rang a bell for you, or resonated with you? Put the number in there. If you've got any questions or comments, now's a great time. I'm going to take you through a one command very quickly. But in the meantime, I do want to say that if you want to work with me one-on-one, it starts with a conversation. I do have some coaching spots available. Generally, I work with people a couple of ways. I find it helps to work with them a minimum of 6 weeks to create a measurable change. But you may want to have some more ongoing coaching, or just have a question for me. Whatever it is, the best way to get a hold of me is to go to bit.ly. This is bit.ly in the internet browser, /Big Vision Coach, and it is capital letters on the first word. So capital BIG, capital VISION, capital COACH. bit.ly bit.ly /Big Vision Coach. So I hope that you'll reach out to me. I'd love to connect with you. I'm going to go ahead and write this down. I'll type it into the comment. Oh, okay. Someone's saying, I didn't hear it all. It seemed to be relevant. Be sure and tune in to the recording, and then you'll be able to catch all the pieces, okay? So let me put this in here. Okay, I'm putting it right in the chat. There you go. All right. Hey, who is ready to experience the power of the one command? All right, let's take a look here. And I'll get over to my slide. Make sure I'm in the right place at the right time, the right way. There we go. I just want to be sure and remind you that if you haven't joined yet, you can go to @TOC Money Mindset Mastery on Facebook. And every Tuesday, we have a free virtual commanding wealth circle. And where you learn the method of the one command, you learn how to apply it, and you're going to meet the sweetest people in the world. So I hope that you will join us. Okay, so the basic format of the one command is I don't know how and then you would state what you want. I only know it's so now, or I do now, whichever is more grammatically correct, and I am fulfilled. Okay, so let's say for an example that your fear was the fear of the unknown, right? So your command might be, well, I don't know how. I am confident in the face of the unknown. I only know I am confident now. See how we just kind of flip that over? Or if you're concerned about losing your friends, I don't know how. I have amazing friends who love and support me. I only know I do now, and I am fulfilled. So whatever that idea was that came up for you, then you'll just make a statement. Basically, you flip it around, okay? So then what I'm going to do, and we use this as a little filter. I don't know how, like this is the lens that we're creating everything through. And this is a picture of the book, The One Command by Asara. But I always start with this main command. I don't know how I am directing the full power of my consciousness at every level to manifest my desires. I only know I am now and I am fulfilled. And the reason you're going to hear me say this is like putting your mind in every level of consciousness, every aspect of your being, past, present, future, to be on alert that a change is coming. And they have a job to do. Okay, just like when I got the message, hey, a big change is coming, better start getting rid of everything that no longer serves me. So I'm going to take you very quickly through a little visualization. Okay, so I want to just invite you to think about what it is that you want to attract, create, or manifest. Think about what you want to attract, create, or manifest, and get an idea of what that would look like, what that would feel like. Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay. So now I want to invite you to just close your eyes and focus on your body and just ground and just feel your connection to the earth and the earth's connection to you, and just let that beautiful earth energy come up and support you. You might wiggle your toes and shift and move your hips a bit. Just take a nice deep breath. Beautiful. And now I want to invite you to bring your attention to your heart as you're aligning to your purpose and the purpose of what it is that you want to attract, create, or manifest. Go on. You have to pardon me, my little dog's here. There we go. Just let it come into alignment with your heart and the greater good that'll arrive because of the fulfillment of your desire. Now I want you to picture, visualize, or imagine that you have a pole of light, and this is your connection to source. And it could say God or heaven. But with your eyes closed, I want you to roll your eyes up as if you're trying to look up to the top of your head. And just allow your consciousness to go up that pole of light. And the higher you go, the faster you go, going out beyond the outer edges of the universe. Just let that go. And break through the darkness into the light of pure, open potential. Eyes still up. We're going to start stating our commands. The first one is, I don't know how I am directing the power of my consciousness at every level of my being to manifest my desires. I only know I am now, and I am fulfilled. And then think about what it is that you wanted to attract, create, or manifest. And focus on that it's already done. And this is bigger than, hey, I want $5,000 in my bank account. Why do you want that $5,000? What are you going to be able to have, be, or do on the other side of that? So I don't know how and state your command or your desire. Say that silently. I only know it is so now, or I do now, and I am fulfilled. And then we're just going to let that idea go. We're going to let that expand out to an idea even greater that serves more good in its fulfillment. Your eyes are relaxed. And now, if the thing that you desired were manifested in your life and all the lessons and all the experiences, now just start receiving with gratitude everything that's happened, everything you learned, all the people in your life. Just start receiving. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as this is coming in, just allow the old ways, the old thoughts, the old worries, concerns, all those limiting beliefs and small, teeny ideas, let them just go and unwind out of your neurology. They no longer match what you want, need, or desire. So just let it go. No longer need it. And now, as this new state of being, these new ideas start rewinding and integrating, just allow all this to start flowing in. Before you open your eyes, do a little internal check-in. As you think about your command, what you commanded for, what do you know now that you didn't know before? When you think about what some of these concerns were, is there any concern now? One thing we definitely recommend is that you keep a journal of your command. You want to make any notes, and studies have shown that people who journal, even for as little as 5 minutes a day, that whatever it is that they want to create in their life happens something like 23 or 25% faster. They did a study with people of different professions who lost their job, and the people who did the journaling were among the first ones that got back to work. They got back to work a lot faster than the people who didn't. Okay, and of course we always say the 7th step is inspired action. Be ready for an idea, inspiration, or an opportunity, and you just go for it. I just want to remind you to please be sure and check out our Facebook group. You can find videos on YouTube under The Big Vision Coach. That's me, I'm Catherine Perry. And if there's any way I can be of any help or service to you in making your dream come true, I certainly want to make that happen for you. Okay? So I hope that this was valuable to you. I'm making a new commitment that Thursdays at 5 p.m. Central Time, or by 5 p.m. Central Time, I'm going to be doing a new video every week, and this is my summer project. So I look forward to seeing you here. Be sure and like this and share it with other people. And until next time, this is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I witness your mastery. Bye-bye.